What is up, Chatbots and digital marketing podcast listeners? This is Karl and you are on episode number 15. Just keep pumping these things out. We're going to continue to bring you great guests and interviews on marketing subjects. And in fact, today I've got a good friend. His name is Josh Marsden, and he's a phenom when it comes to digital marketing. He literally is doing over $300,000 a month in ad spend just on Facebook. And just a little bit of a background about Josh. He started in early 2013 after receiving an ultimatum from an employer to change his schedule because of his son, and he's a single father, and he had to make all of these arrangements, which was pretty tough for him. So he learned from some of the most well-known marketers today, names like digital marketer Ryan Dice and the digital marketer team, Ryan Levesque, Todd Brown, Dan Kennedy, Perry Marshall, Keith Krantz, Josh Horning, and many others. And he, like I said, he manages over $300,000 per month in Facebook ad spend for all of his clients. And they've literally produced multiple seven figures in sales with Facebook ad traffic. And Josh really specializes in e-commerce ads specifically. He does other things as well, but I would like to say that his core business comes from e-commerce and ad spends on different traffic channels. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and kick this off back over to myself and to the interview. See you over there. What is up, Chatbots and digital marketing podcast listeners? This is Karl Schickert, and I'm back with my good friend Josh Marsden, who is a really an awesome agency owner. He has ran his agency since 2013. He's been mainly focusing on e-commerce businesses and helping them scale their businesses and their marketing performance through advertising, email, SMS, and now Facebook Messenger. So, Josh, what's up, buddy?
Hey, not much, Karl. Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Of course, man. I've always done your stuff. I think it was finally time you could come on to our show.
Totally. I mean, I got to return the favor, but yeah, no, I'm very, very blessed and thankful that you've, decided to bring me on board. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and dig into it a little bit here. I've got a few questions for you. Some of these things might be a little deep, I guess, but I like to try to dig a little bit. Is that cool?
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, seriously, ask away. No question is off the table. Unless it's about Avengers Endgame, because, we don't want to reveal any secrets there.
Yeah, no spoilers, because we're recording this like literally the day after it came out. So yep. Typically, I like to ask a few different questions. One of them I like to start off with because I think success leaves clues. You guys have probably heard that before. Our listeners have heard that before. But there's usually somewhere where success actually starts to happen. And some people I've interviewed too, which is crazy, they've had success like right away, which is always surprising, but not for me. But for you, Josh, where was some turning points in your life that kind of changed things? And it could even be personal, and it could be business, it could be how they relate to each other.
Yep.
Yeah, just let us know.
Yeah. Well, that's a very, first off, a very deep question. I would say that, this goes way back. But when I was 19, I had basically kind of flunked out of school. I wasn't taking college seriously. And I was making a lot of mistakes in my life at that point in time. And then I decided that I was going to go in the military to kind of get myself back on track, basically, because growing up, I was always an honor student. I always, did really well in school. So I had it, but I wasn't using it. And I knew that too, because I believed in myself, and plus I had people in my corner that also believed in me. So I went in the military, and that was probably like a catalyst, because that was definitely like the first domino that set a chain reaction afterwards. I went in the military, went through basic and AIT in Georgia and Alabama, became a FAA certified air traffic controller. And then I came back to Arizona because I was an Arizona National Guard, serviceman. And I went back to school. And again, that was like the chain reaction. So I went back to school, finished my bachelor's degree, and also did really, really well in corporate America at the time, and was able to get up to number 16 in the company. And this is like a Fortune 500 company with thousands of employees. And I was a manager, at the time. I was able to, be the top enrollment manager at this was University of Phoenix back in 2010. And then a few years later, I finished my MBA even, and I started my business. So that's why I mentioned that, because it really was like that first domino that set that entire chain reaction of successes. I mean, the standards there were obviously evolving, because when you're working for the man, the standard is a little lower, to be quite honest, overall, right? Because like you and I, we kind of laugh now at like six figures, big deal, right? And I seriously think it's not that big of a deal. And but then, as you become a business owner and you're around like yourself, and I'm around, all these other, high level achievers that are just like pushing the envelope and are, raising the bar for you as an entrepreneur, as a person, you want to like push harder and get to a higher mountaintop basically. But that was definitely the first domino, because at that point in my life, I was making mistakes. I wasn't taking life seriously, and I had the potential. I had everything, inside of me to do what I could do, but I wasn't doing it. And so, that really kind of set that first domino off, and the rest is history.
So what was affecting you, you think, at that time? Like your surroundings, or just personal motivations, not knowing what you are capable of? What do you think was some of the things that, were keeping you at that point from making the decision? Because the way I see you is like a very systematized person, more of a scholar too, because I mean, you went back and got your master's degree, and also tons of certifications, pretty much excelled at every single level. But at that point before then, what was it that, was it life? Like, was there things going on? Was it just surroundings? What do you think it was that was keeping you from, achieving higher peaks and knowing what's available to you, seeking the knowledge?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that for one, I didn't have that motivation that I needed at the time. I wasn't happy working in menial positions that weren't challenging me. I also was around, friends that I would party a lot with, and I never got into drugs and stuff like that. But I used to like, drink alcohol and beer and things like that. And then on top of that too, I was kind of going through like a little bit of a heartbreak at the time, because I had, my first serious girlfriend right before that. We broke up maybe, I think, 6 to 9 months before I went in the military. And then, my family life too, with my parents, for example, it wasn't exactly, wasn't really like consistent. I had some difficulties with my mom and my stepdad, and then I had like almost no relationship with my dad. So there's just a lot of, I think, factors there that kind of played into that whole, soup that I was like waiting in basically at the time, that caused me not to really apply myself and really get focused and really like, work towards my potential.
Okay, so enough about that. I'll continue. I'll get into some more interesting stuff here. But yeah, I mean, I think it's always good to kind of talk about some of these things, because we are human, we're
Right.
Humanly flawed in ways, and we are products of our society and our surroundings. So
Totally.
we all have different upbringings. But since then, you've had a lot of success. You probably learned how to systematize yourself really well from the military, or maybe you're kind of wired that way always. But what happened later on in life? Like, obviously working for corporate, I've been there, done that before too. And, it's definitely a different environment. But from transitioning from working for the man and then working for the man yourself, And was there some mentors? Did you get some flash of like I don't know, some flashes of like opportunity that happened or successes or something that happened? You tried a couple of different things and you were like, wow, I can actually do this. Had some personal successes and then started to build your business from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of different things, since starting my business that I think happened that allowed me to evolve or have success. And I'm very grateful for like every single little thing and big thing that's happened along the way. You know, it could be simply being a freelancer, getting, work for the first time in my life, making money on my own for the first time in my life. Besides when I was like, I think I was like 10 or 9 when I used to rent Nintendo games that were borrowed from other people. But anyway, that's another story. And then being around,
That's an early entrepreneurship.
very, very early, yeah, very early, and got me in a lot of trouble too. But
Too.
yeah, and digital marketer has been integral, to the success that I've had up to this point. That was another domino back in like 2014 that kind of set a chain reaction in my entrepreneur journey. And then also, being around, different people that introduced me to other people that allowed me to be around, very high achieving, entrepreneurs that were very, very successful that I could really draw some wisdom and some experience and some knowledge from. I was fortunate enough to, again, be tied to digital marketers somewhat early in their journey, before they really exploded. And then also I was fortunate enough to be introduced to Baby Bathwater Institute, somewhat early for them, back in I think 2016, 17. And then also I was able to have Ryan Levesque as a mentor for a year, which I was very fortunate to have as well. And I learned a lot from him, and there's still more I could learn from him. He's a very smart guy, and and then there was just other people like along the way that I would meet, whether it's through my old podcast or whether because Build Your Utopia, it's on iTunes. We have 100 episodes we published, or just going to different events, and just building relationships with different people and just learning along the way. All of that just really kind of contributed to all the success that I've had at this point. And honestly, when I say that, I don't even feel like I've had enough success yet. I still feel like there's more. And I'm not satisfied because it's hard for me to be satisfied with little wins along the way. But the wins that I have had up to this point, I attribute it to all the fortunate circumstances and experiences and the people that have been so giving, along the way that I've been, blessed to have met over the past 6+ years.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that you're definitely, having some success, but maybe haven't quite peaked yet, and that's a good thing. But you manage over $300,000 a month in monthly ad spend. You've built a successful agency there you're in Phoenix area, right?
Yep.
And that's a pretty heavily competitive world down there as well. But we're in a global business, so you can manage someone that's in India or across the world. You could help people with that, and then also just really niche down. You've niched down into e-commerce, which there's a huge need for advertising help in that world because most people in e-commerce don't know how to run ads.
Right.
They know how to run their business, and they think that because they open their door, that business is going to come. But that is the missing link for a lot of people. It's definitely someone I would recommend to, and help your business any way that I can. Also,
Thank you.
what top advice? Okay, this is a good question. I always like to ask this one because it really, I think, kind of helps people think about this, and it's really just to really make the podcast effective too. It's to help people, help our audience. What's the top advice you want to give our audience? What's the number one piece of advice maybe you've ever been given that you think would be helpful for other people?
You know what? So I think the best advice, if there's just one thing that I can share that would really impact, your audience, your viewers, your listeners, is everything that happens day to day, success, failure, comes right back to the mental game. And so you really have to focus on mentally being ready and also being poised when the adversity and the challenges and the stress happens, because it's going to happen. I think that that's key to be able to, have any level of success, and to really have a massive level of success. You've really got to play that mental game every single day, because you got to be on top of yourself and your own performance and how you are as a leader with your company, how you are, as an entrepreneur, as you lead with the vision, you lead with the projects and initiatives and all that good stuff. You really got to play the mental game well, because stress is going to happen, challenges are going to happen, you're going to fail, you're going to fall flat on your face at times, and you just got to keep going. And the thing is that when you're stressed during those moments, you can sulk a little bit, you can get down a little bit, but when you do that, you lose progress. You lose productivity. You lose something when that happens, right? And so that's why I say the mental game, because when that happens, you have to constantly tell yourself everything's going to be okay, everything's going to work, and you got to keep moving forward, and not let yourself get down during those moments when the stress happens. And I'm sure you can resonate with this too. As an entrepreneur, stress happens, right? I mean, we have stressful days, we have stressful moments. We just got to stay on top of ourselves first, and then the rest falls into place.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. I like that as a lot, because, well, it has to do a lot with, I think, building yourself a little bit. The mental game, that's the first person really brought that up, and it's such a good one to bring up, because we can kind of go down the rabbit hole a little bit on this one, because, Josh, what do you do to set yourself up for success mentally? Like, this is mental strength and stability. Like, you've got to have some sort of ritual or something you do on a daily basis, to get to that point. Do you do anything?
Sure. I do, especially this year. In previous years, I wasn't quite as consistent and anal, so to speak, with my morning routine. In previous years, I would jog maybe a few times a week in the morning, but it wasn't every morning. And there would be mornings where I would wake up, an hour and a half before I start work, and I would get myself ready, take a shower, eat breakfast, etc. But now in 2019, what I've been doing is I've been waking up, I either jog or I do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 air squats. And then I also meditate for 5-10 minutes at the most, using the Breathe app. Chandler Bolt gave me that idea, so thank you, Chandler. And then then I dive into my day. And then on top of that, I've also scheduled kind of my day. I've controlled my schedule a little bit more this year, where I don't start my day officially until 9 a.m. I mean, I'm working sometimes before 9 a.m., but I don't feel that pressure, that rush to get going early. So that stress isn't quite there this year, which is great. So those things have kind of gone into it. And then on top of that, I go to the gym, twice a week, do some sort of weightlifting activity. Right now it's CrossFit. I'm doing CrossFit workouts basically. And I also, jog or hike, whether it's in the morning, a few times a week, with or without my son, or on the weekends, by myself. Maybe I go on a motorcycle ride and I go somewhere where I can cool off and I go jog for a few hours, whatever. And then I try to do yoga once a week as well. So all, just that, it's just taking care of you, I guess is what I'm getting at. That's what I do. So I think that if you take care of you from a physical standpoint, from a diet standpoint, from a mental standpoint, then it poises me to be able to, overcome whatever stresses or challenges happen when they do happen.
Awesome. I like it. So do physical work, which helps, like you said, meditation, breathing, daily activity of working out. Now you have a habit every day of doing 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups. So if you don't do it one day, you kind of break that chain a little bit, and
Right.
it physically, but at the same time, when you do it, you feel more mentally focused throughout the day. You don't feel as stressed, and you get
Right.
more done. So
Right. Right.
phenomenal advice. I think if anybody out of this call just tried this in their life for like 1 week or 2 weeks, they probably would see some they would notice some changes.
Oh yeah, totally.
So what projects are you currently working on?
Well, quite a bit. I mean, we have our clientele, obviously, that's our number one priority is helping our clients continue to scale and grow. Number two, we're just really dialing in our marketing and our operations. This way we can continue to scale throughout the year because we want to get to a specific, goal this year. And then besides that, we're trying to expand our offers slowly but surely, and also diversify our revenue slowly but surely. Which means that at some point, I do want to roll out some sort of like digital kind of course or membership program. I'm still in the midst of putting what that is together. That can really serve some of the audience that we have, because we have a significant amount of our audience that just aren't qualified to work with us. But at the same time, we could provide a lot of value and impact to them to help them achieve their goals with where they're at in their businesses. And then on top of that, I have some e-commerce businesses that I've either launched or I'm in the midst of launching that I want to really get behind, so this way we can get some success with those businesses and start to create some passive revenue coming in to add to the agency, so we can grow the agency a little bit more aggressively with more expendable revenue, basically. And then I also have potentially, this is completely in left field, and we just got to see where it goes, but I potentially have a SaaS that could be starting up at some point this year. I'm finalizing the business plan right now with some partners. And then, we're then going to go pitch it, and we're going to, see if we can develop it. But this, this is a very long-term play. This isn't a short-term play. I'm not going to see any revenue from it for quite some time, but we have like a really good project there, really good idea, really good, roadmap of where we're going to see it go in the future. So that's exciting as well. So I've got all those things happening right now.
Cool. Entrepreneurship, gotta love it.
Yeah, the thing is that you got to stay focused on your primary mission. You can't be you have to be very careful with your energy and your attention and your time and all that stuff. And so like my agency is like number one, hands down. And I constantly have to kind of stay on top of that and discipline myself to say that's it. This is number one. However, once I add additional operational elements and processes and things like that, then I can start to free up my time a little bit more, and then I can get to a point where I could put more time and effort into some of these side things that are kind of developing slowly but surely.
Yeah, I don't remember who said it, but he was talking about, there was an entrepreneur saying that you can only work inside of your business for so long, like you pretty much hit ceilings and you can only go so far. You got to take yourself out of your business at some point when it's hitting, good success, and then you just have an operations manager or someone that you trust that can operate the business from within, and then you step out and do other things. So yeah, I think that's where you're at. Are you using chatbots in your business? I mean, I know you probably are for clients. How are you using chatbots?
Well, quite a bit. As I've been around chatbots for 2 years or more now, I think, and so we have various different bots built out supporting our business, where whether it's customer service bots, whether it's bots that sell my book, right here, digitally or physically, and it's 100% integrated with our Infusionsoft CRM and also with our fulfillment company that we've set up a relationship with that fulfills on it. We've got a complex bot that drives people to our case study where we did over 1,500% ROI using Facebook ads in the first 6 months with one of our 7-figure e-commerce clients selling supplements. So we have a pretty extensive, I would say, bot, build in our business. And then as far as for clients, so, advertising is really our core, service that we really sell. but we do have like the talent, the skill, the experience, the processes to do bots, to do funnels, and all that good stuff. But that stuff is much more custom, as you know. So it's, we don't do a lot of those. We try to minimize it to 1 to 2 of those types of projects each month, because it takes a lot of bandwidth and there's a lot of reviews. And I just want to make sure that whatever we do, we're always delivering top-notch quality, performance, and of course ROI, for our clients. And so I'm very careful with how much of that we do. But we've done quite a bit. Like for example, like Joe Polish, he was a client of ours for about 12 months, and we did a great job, reducing his cost per application versus the previous year for his Genius Network annual event. I think we reduced it by like 2 or 3 times the cost that they were looking at before when they had a different agency. And we also helped them build out an application bot that was 100% integrated with Infusionsoft, asked questions in the application process. And some of these questions, you couldn't, you had to do it very cleverly because it was more than 3 multiple choices, for example. And we had a limitation where we couldn't do more than 3 options in the answers. So we really had to kind of figure that out. I had to figure this out. And I was able to figure it out and use Zapier and also use Infusionsoft to be able to run this bot and then pull people into Infusionsoft and then get them into basically their sales process when they get applications, so they can take those applications and they can move them into the qualified, not qualified, and of course move them through the sales process after that. So
nice. So
yeah.
You built the Genius Network's pre-qualification sales bot for their Genius Network event. That's pretty phenomenal to put on a resume right there. I think most people know who Joe Posh is, and a phenomenal guy, and he runs like $100,000 mastermind too. So he's one of the few that has one of the high ticket masterminds like that.
Yeah,
so cool.
No, he's a stand-up guy. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah, I've never really met him. I shared an elevator with him once. So I remember that. That was about the extent of it. But his event looks phenomenal. I've always wanted to check it out. I know a lot of people that go to his event, so I know it's.
I highly recommend it. It's I've been to a decent amount of those types of events, and the thing is about the Genius Network annual event, and I'm not in Genius Network. I don't know exactly how that experience is. I just know from them as a client. But their annual event I went to last year, I mean, it blew me away with just how they're tying in the greater purpose to each person's entrepreneur journey. The greater purpose in impacting others. And not. I haven't experienced that with other events or groups where they're really striving to create positive change in the world and really help people, but also do it in a way where you're not killing yourself in the process, in the journey to get there. Joe is all about that ELF business, which is easy, lucrative, and fun, as he puts it. And truly, he exudes that. In his entire experience, everybody at the annual events, there was moments where you could see how they were talking to people one-on-one in front of everybody else, and they were talking about how to really manage life while you're also working in your business to achieve your entrepreneur goals. And that balance, when you go to mastermind events or business events, nobody really talks about balance. Nobody cares about that. All they care about is hustle, hustle, hustle. Let's make a big impact in the world, or let's make a lot of money. But they don't focus on that person. And I did get that sense from their annual event that they really do focus on each Genius Network member to help them have that balance. Be happy while they're also achieving their entrepreneur goals, and also they're looking at the big picture of how they can really impact the world in general, and do it as a group, or individually. So it was pretty, I really was impressed with just the unique culture of Genius Network.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a special thing for sure, and I like that idea of finding, you're a movement, I guess, in a sense. Every company has a big mission statement, and everybody's moving towards, being greener and recycling and stuff like that. And so, how is your product helping the world, not harming the world nowadays? That's becoming the profit model. But yeah, I love the idea too. I think it's a better way to, to treat our Earth anyway. Being that Earth Day was just like last week.
And plus, you're in beautiful Tahoe, man.
I'm in beautiful Tahoe. We need to keep this lake, and keep it as blue as possible, and keep our forest green, keep oxygen in the air, and and not kill our our ozone layers and stuff. So awesome, Josh. I appreciate you so much, man, for coming on. I think you really shared some great stuff. We went over a lot. It's a lot of stuff for people to think about. There's a lot of good things where I think, people, having a daily routine, and, I think that's what resonated with me the most, because, one, I just got done reading the book Atomic Habits, and, it's all about like starting habits even at 1%, and how the 1% can change trajectory, in a massive flow. And so, nice. I'm 2 months into it myself, of like literally just having a routine every single morning, and it's been life changing, and I think it would be for other people. So I know you're doing it, and you're pushing yourself, but at the same time, you're probably a lot less stressful. I know for me, I am. I'm cool, calm, and collective. So, but I appreciate you coming on the call, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up, and I'm going to push this back to myself for the ending show.
All right, folks, this concludes episode number 15 of Chatbots and Digital Marketing Podcast. I'm excited, guys. I'm going to keep pumping these out. We have more interviews scheduled out, so make sure you take a minute and you pound wherever you're finding us from. Either find us on YouTube, you're finding us on Facebook, you're finding us on our Medium blog. Wherever you're finding us, maybe on your favorite podcast platform. We're on 9 of the top podcasting platforms. Wherever you're finding us, make sure to share the love if you're digging this. Birds of a feather do flock together, so there's a good chance that you are friends with other marketers. So feel free to share this anytime. I'm going to be thinking of some other ways to gamify this so it's fun for all of us, and also we can get some free gear. If you like that idea, wherever you find us, just chat somewhere and say, I like that idea, Karl. I also do want to mention that we are sponsored by my company called segmateapp.com. We actually just published our brand new website, so I would say go over there and check it out. We spent literally the last 6 months building it, but now it's finally live, and now we're going to continue to add things to it. It's like native integrations and integrations tabs and success stories, and all of that fun stuff is going to continue to build from here on out. Guys, this is Karl Schuckert. I appreciate you for listening, and we'll talk to you soon on the very next one. Take care.